Let me ask you something that might hit a little harder than you expect. Have you ever watched a star burn out? You know, when it's so brilliant, so alive, and yet in the blink of an eye, it fades into nothingness. That's what happens when you keep giving all of yourself to someone who never even notices. You burn out trying to light their way, while they stand in the darkness, unmoved and indifferent. It's time to stop. Stop feeding the fire. Step away and watch them struggle to find their way without your light. Here's the truth you need to hear, whether you're ready for it or not. Life isn't a fairy tale. No one's going to sugarcoat it for you, not here, not today. No more pretending everything will be okay. No more hoping that someone will suddenly see your worth. The reality is brutal, but it's real. The world is full of people pretending to care, faking loyalty, acting like love is everlasting. But what if I told you that none of that is true? People drift in and out of your life like shadows. And you're different. You gave them everything, your time, your energy, your heart. You protected them, even when they couldn't see the storms coming. But they couldn't care less. They walked away, leaving you in the silent storm of your own making, while they stayed warm in their apathy. You kept hoping, didn't you? You thought, maybe if I just keep giving, they'll realize how much I care. But they didn't, and they won't. You see, people like this only understand loss when it's too late. When your light dims and they're left in darkness, only then will they start to feel the cold. But by then, it's already over. They won't know how to find their way back to you because they never truly knew how to appreciate you in the first place. But here's the good part. You've tried, you've bled, you've cried, you've burned yourself out. And now it's time to stop. Not for them, never for them, but for you. Walking away isn't a sign of weakness. It's the ultimate act of strength. It's choosing yourself over someone who would never choose you. When you walk away, do it silently. Don't scream, don't explain, don't waste another word. Let your absence be the loudest statement you'll ever make. Because trust me, when you vanish, they'll feel it. They'll feel the weight of the emptiness you leave behind. And that silence, it'll haunt them in ways words never could. And you will rise. Every step you take away from them is a step closer to reclaiming who you truly are. Their inability to see your worth doesn't define you, it defines them. You were never the problem. You were the treasure they never bothered to cherish. So today, it's time to choose yourself. Say it loud, say it proud. I am done. I am free. I am enough. Drop it in the comments below. Let these words be a declaration of your freedom. Let them be a promise to yourself that you'll never again beg for someone to recognize your worth. Let them sit in the void you leave behind. Let them choke on the emptiness. And you'll rise from it, stronger than ever. Now, let me tell you a story you might know all too well. It's the story of someone who gave everything to someone who wasn't worthy of a second of it. Her name is Elena. She loved with a fierce devotion, with a heart wide open. She gave him everything, her time, her care, her soul, and for a while it felt like forever. But promises are just words, and words are meaningless when there's no action behind them. Elena stayed up at night, listening to his struggles, soothing his fears, pouring her heart into him. But when the time came for him to offer her the same, he wasn't there. His attention was elsewhere, distracted, consumed by someone else's presence. She begged him, pleaded with him, but he couldn't even be bothered to offer her the decency of an answer. And when she finally saw the truth, the betrayal was too much to bear. But here's the thing, Elena didn't stay broken forever. She reached a moment of clarity, staring at herself in the mirror, realizing that the woman staring back wasn't her anymore. She was a ghost of her former self, a woman drained of every ounce of light, all for someone who couldn't care less. So, she made a choice. She walked away. Not because she wanted to hurt him, but because she needed to save herself. She chose herself, and that's the moment she began to rise. And that's when she did it. She didn't just leave, she vanished. There were no dramatic goodbyes, no final confrontations, just an empty space where she used to be. No texts, no calls, no explanations. She slipped away, quietly, like a shadow in the night. She left her life behind while he was at work, and when he came home, there was nothing but the echo of a life that used to be. The silence. It was deafening. At first he didn't even notice, but over time that silence began to gnaw at him. He called at first, casually, "Hey, haven't heard from you." Then more urgently, "Can we talk? I miss you." But by the time he was reaching out, it was already too late. She was gone, completely gone, and that's the power of silence. It's not just the absence of words, it's a mirror, forcing them to look into the reflection they've been avoiding. And let me tell you, that reflection is brutal. It's the face of someone who let you give your all while they stayed cold and indifferent. Elena's silence screamed louder than any fight ever could. It said, "You had me, and you lost me, and now I'm done." Listen closely. Chasing after someone, begging for their love, pleading for answers, it's like inviting them to take a knife to your heart. Why would you hand over that kind of power to someone who's shown they don't care? When you beg, when you fight for their approval, they win. They get to tell themselves they're better, that they have the upper hand. But silence? Silence flips the entire script. Now they're the ones left asking, why did she leave? What went wrong? Why didn't she fight for me? Here's the thing. They wanted you to fight. They wanted to see you beg. They wanted you to cry. But your silence, that's what destroys them. Think about it. When you're drowning, they'll stand there, arms crossed, watching. But when you stop struggling, when you let the tide carry you away from them, then they panic. Not because they care about saving you, but because you're no longer under their control. Stop fighting for someone who wouldn't lift a finger to save you. Walk away quietly. Don't slam doors. Don't send that last desperate message. Don't waste one more breath explaining yourself. Just leave. Let them sit in the emptiness, wondering where you went, wondering what went wrong. Let them feel the weight of their own indifference. And here's the kicker. When that silence becomes unbearable for them, when they begin to miss your warmth, your laughter, your energy, they'll come crawling back. They always do. But by then, you'll be long gone. You'll be in a place where their words can't reach you, where their silence can't cut you. You'll be stronger, wiser, and most importantly, free. Say it with me now. I deserve better. I choose peace. I am done. Drop it in the comments as a declaration, a promise to yourself. These words are your first step toward reclaiming your power. Your silence is your strength. Let them feel it. Let them question their own choices. And when they do come back, it'll be too late. And hey, don't forget to like this video. Share it with someone who needs to hear this truth. Let's spread the message that walking away isn't weakness. It's strength. Let's dive deeper into why they always come back, because once you stop chasing, they'll realize what they lost. And that's when the real game begins. Walking away on your own terms is far more powerful than begging for a second chance. And as you fade into the distance, that's when they start to notice. The weight of their own loneliness becomes undeniable. The jug is heavier without you to carry it. They start reaching out, desperately trying to reel you back in. But here's the big question. Are they coming back because they truly care? Or because they're just looking to soothe their own emptiness, to quell their guilt, or to fill the void you left behind? Here's the harsh reality. People don't come back because of love. They come back because it's convenient. They miss the comfort you provided, the ego boost of feeling needed. They crave the warmth you offered, but never once did they consider how they extinguished it. When they return, it's rarely a sign that they've changed. It's because the silence you left behind has started to echo in their lives in ways they can't ignore. Think about it. When they come back, it's not because they suddenly realized how much you meant to them. It's because they miss the cushion you were, the shield that absorbed their problems while you bore the weight of your own in silence. You weren't just a partner, you were their comfort zone, their safety net, and they're desperate to get that back. They come back not for reconciliation, but to see if they still have the power to control you. Don't fool yourself, they're not changing. They're circling back like vultures, picking at the remnants of what you gave them. The same person who disregarded your tears and dismissed your worth won't suddenly wake up with a newfound understanding. They come back because you were easy to rely on, not because they learned to value you. And that's the uncomfortable truth. Let me tell you about Mark. He was a master of manipulation, always promising change, always telling her what she wanted to hear. She loved him. No, she obsessed over him. She gave him everything she had while he made her feel like an option. Every time things didn't work out for him, he'd come running back, expecting her to be there, arms wide open, ready to forgive. And every time she would fall for it. She believed his sweet words, his empty promises, and he'd leave again, taking a piece of her with him until there was almost nothing left. Then one day, something shifted in her. She stopped answering his calls. She ignored his texts. She refused to give him the satisfaction of knowing he still had control over her. She walked away, and this time she stayed gone. And guess what happened? He came back. But this time, she wasn't there to catch him. When he finally realized that, when he felt the absence of the woman who had always been his safety net, it broke him. Not because he loved her, but because he lost the one thing he took for granted. Here's the truth you need to swallow. Yes, they might come back. But don't kid yourself into thinking the person who comes back is the one you're waiting for. They won't come back with genuine regret or a deep understanding of what they lost. They're coming back to test the waters, to see if they can still control you, to check if you're still willing to be their emotional backup. The same fire that once warmed them can destroy them if you stop feeding it. You've worked too hard to rebuild yourself, to let someone walk back into your life as if nothing happened. Their return isn't a sign of love, it's a test of your growth. They'll see if you've learned to say no, if you've learned your worth. So, do they really come back? Yes, they do. But here's the crucial question. Should you even care? Should you open the door for someone who only showed up because they were lonely, regretful, or looking for something they lost? You are not a backup plan. You are not someone's emotional convenience. You are not the safety net for someone who never valued you in the first place. If they come back, let them find the door closed. Let them be forced to confront the fact that you've moved on. Let your absence be louder than their excuses. Let your silence become the mirror that reflects their own shortcomings. And if they truly care, let them fight for their own healing, their own growth, their own change. But do not let their return undo the progress you've made to reclaim your peace. Say it with me. I am done waiting. I will not bend. I am more than enough. Drop it in the comments below. Let these words become your shield, your strength. Because when they come back, and they always do, this time you'll be unshakable. You'll be a new version of yourself, stronger, wiser, and free. Comment it now. I am done waiting. I will not bend. I am more than enough. Let them return, but let them find you thriving, unstoppable, and gone from the place they once occupied. And hey, if you haven't already, hit that like button. It helps get this truth to those who need to hear it. Now, let's dive deeper. What happens after you walk away, and how do you turn the emptiness into power? At first, walking away feels like a rush of freedom. It's like slamming the door on a chaotic storm that's been raging inside your life. But then, suddenly, the silence hits. The emptiness seeps in, and it feels overwhelming. It whispers doubts into your mind. Was I wrong? Could they have been the one? Am I doomed to be alone? But listen, this emptiness, it's not your enemy. It's your rebirth. Let me ask you this. Have you ever watched a forest recover after a wildfire? At first, everything looks destroyed, charred ground, the smell of smoke lingering in the air. But below the surface, life is quietly finding a way to grow. The seeds that were buried deep are sprouting, stronger than ever. That's what you are. You're standing in the ashes of what you left behind, but beneath that quiet, something powerful is rising within you. Emptiness isn't a void. It's a blank canvas waiting for you to create your masterpiece. All the pieces of yourself you gave away to someone who didn't deserve them. They drained you, left you empty. But now, without their chaos to cloud your mind, you're finally hearing your own voice. It's intimidating, I know, facing yourself after so long. But this is the whole point of walking away. To stop existing for someone else and start rediscovering who you are and what you deserve. Step 1. Embrace the silence. For so long, you've been told silence is bad, that it's a space to be feared. But silence isn't the absence of noise, it's the presence of clarity. It's the moment you can hear your own thoughts clearly, the first time you realize that all the energy you poured into someone wasn't love. It was survival. You were holding on for them, but now it's time to hold on to yourself. Let the silence be your sanctuary. Think of it like this. Silence is the pause before a symphony begins. You're allowed to feel it all, to cry, to rage, to release it all. But do not fill it with desperate texts or calls. Don't give them that power. Let them stay in their own silence while you make peace with yours. Step 2. Fill the void with you. Emptiness wins when you allow it to stay empty. Use this time to reconnect with yourself. Rekindle old passions you put aside. Take that walk, pick up a hobby, start that book you've been meaning to finish. These aren't distractions, they're tools to reclaim your energy. It's like filling a cup that's been drained. You've spent so long pouring into others. Now it's time to pour back into yourself. One small step at a time, and before you know it, your cup will overflow. And they won't recognize the person who now stands tall and untouchable. Step 3. Let go of the past. You're not missing them. You're missing the version of them that you created in your mind, the one who could have loved you the way you deserved. But that version never existed. The real version of them is the one who ignored your needs, who took your love for granted. Their absence, it's not a loss. It's your gift, a clean slate, a fresh start, a chance to build something real, something built on respect, not regret. Step 4. Let the pain transform you. Pain is inevitable. It's going to hit hard, sometimes like a wave, sometimes like a flood. Don't fight it. Embrace it. Think of pain like a sculptor chiseling away at the parts of you that no longer serve you. Let it shape you into something stronger, something unbreakable. Pain can either break you or forge you. You're becoming steel. You're becoming unshatterable. Step 5. Recognize what you've gained. You didn't lose them. You lost the chains they wrapped around you. You lost the endless cycle of waiting for their love, trying to make them see your worth. You lost the pain of being ignored. What you gained? You gained your freedom. You gained yourself. Stand in front of the mirror and see the person who's been waiting for you to come back to them. You're not just surviving anymore, you're thriving, This is your moment to rise from the ashes and become who you were always meant to be. Step 6. Remember this affirmation. Say it with me. I am not lost. I am rebuilding. I am not broken. I am finding myself. I am enough. Write it in the comments. Let this be the catalyst for your transformation. Let it remind you that walking away isn't the end. It's just the beginning. It's the beginning of a life where you finally put yourself first. So comment below, I am rebuilding. I am enough. Let this moment fuel your next chapter, because you are about to become unstoppable. Here's the thing. Emptiness isn't a curse. It's your greatest opportunity. It's the space where transformation happens, where you become the person you were always meant to be. Let it be the fertile ground where you plant your growth, not the wasteland that drains you. Let that quiet be the healing balm you've needed, not a void that swallows you whole. Turning pain into power. Pain has a way of sneaking up on you, doesn't it? It feels like a heavy weight that suffocates your every breath, a constant reminder of what you've lost. It's the voice in your head that tells you, this is it. You're stuck. There's no way out. But here's the kicker. Pain isn't your enemy. It's your fuel. It's the forge where you're being made stronger. If you know how to wield it, pain can't break you. It can only free you. Think of a piece of iron being hammered into shape, turning into a sword. At first it's just raw metal, rough and formless. But under heat and pressure, it becomes something sharp, something unyielding. That's you right now. You've been through the heat, the weight of the world pressing down on you. But it's only pushing you into your brilliance. Every ounce of pain you feel, it's shaping you into something stronger, something they'll never understand. When they walked away, when they betrayed you, when they made you feel like you weren't enough, that wasn't the end of your story. They thought they'd broken you, that they'd left you shattered and alone. What they didn't know was that with every cut, with every hurt, they were handing you the very tools you needed to rebuild. Pain, in its rawest form, is the gift you didn't ask for, but it's the one that will set you free. They didn't steal your freedom, they just showed you how to take it back. Freedom doesn't lie in their validation. It doesn't reside in their approval. Freedom lies in the moment you decide to stop letting the pain define you. Let me tell you about Ava. She thought she'd found her forever. She gave him everything. Her heart, her time, her soul. But then came the lies, the distance, the coldness. Until one day she found out he wasn't just pulling away. He was already gone, with someone else. The betrayal felt like a knife twisting in her chest. She couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, couldn't even breathe without the weight of his deception dragging her down. But then, in the darkest part of her heartbreak, something shifted. She saw the truth. This pain wasn't here to destroy her. It was here to show her the way. Every tear that fell washed away the illusion of needing him. Every sleepless night whispered that she deserved more. Every wave of hurt fueled her to rebuild, to rise from the ashes of a love that wasn't meant for her. Ava took that pain, and she used it to ignite her fire. She rediscovered her passions, rebuilt her career, reconnected with the people who had been there for her all along. And when he came crawling back, full of apologies and regret, she didn't feel the need to prove anything. She didn't feel anger. She didn't feel sorrow. She felt free. That's the magic of pain. It's not your sentence, it's your wings. It forces you to face the parts of yourself that you've neglected, the pieces of you that others took for granted. It's the turning point that turns you from a person who's been hurt into someone who's unbreakable. They thought they could bury you, but they didn't realize they were planting you in fertile ground. That's the truth, isn't it? Every time they hurt you, every time they dismissed you, every time they thought you'd fall apart, they weren't destroying you. They were setting you up to rise. And now it's your time to grow, not for them, not to show them they were wrong, but for you, for the person you've been waiting to become, the one who's been in the shadows, waiting for you to set her free. Yes, pain is heavy. Yes, it's suffocating, but it's also temporary. The freedom you'll gain from it, that's eternal. It's the freedom that makes you realize you never needed them. Their love wasn't a lifeline, it was a crutch. When you finally stand on your own, free of their weight, you'll realize that you've always had the strength to walk without them. Here's the truth. The pain you feel now is the cost of freedom. It's the toll you pay to cross the bridge from who you were, tethered to them, to who you're meant to become. It hurts, yes, but this fire will purify you. It reminds you that you're alive, that you're capable of feeling deeply, of loving fiercely. And if you can feel this much pain, think about how much joy, peace, and strength you're capable of feeling next. Turn that pain into fire. Transform it into something unstoppable, something that fuels your purpose and your power. Let it ignite the passion inside you, reminding you of everything you've overcome, of all the storms that tried to break you but only made you stronger. Each scar, each tear, each moment of anguish is proof that you're still here, still standing tall. And not just standing, you're soaring. Say it with me. Pain is my strength. Freedom is my destiny. I will rise. Drop it in the comments. Let that declaration be your armor, your unwavering promise to yourself. This pain won't break you. It will refine you, mold you into the person you were always meant to be. Comment below. Pain is my strength. I will rise. When you look back on this moment, this struggle, you'll see it for what it really was, the spark that ignited the fire of your freedom. How to respond if they come crawling back. Oh, they've come back, have they? The one who couldn't see your worth, who treated your heart like it was disposable, who walked away and left you in the wreckage. Now they've decided to knock on your door, hoping for a second chance. Don't be fooled. Don't mistake their words for love. They're not returning because they've had a life-altering epiphany. No, they're coming back because they can't stand the emptiness you left behind. They've run out of options, and now they think you're still their safety net. When they come crawling back, expect the honeyed lies. I've missed you. I've learned from my mistakes. You're the only one who truly gets me. But let's be real. The person who broke your heart isn't capable of mending it. They didn't change. They just realized that no one else will tolerate their neglect like you did. They're not here for redemption. They're here because they need to fill the hole you left, and they're hoping you'll be their backup. Here's the best response. You don't respond. You give them the same silence that caused them to come back in the first place. Silence isn't weakness. It's strength. It's your refusal to go back to the person who didn't value you enough the first time. They've come back because they've run out of options, but they haven't come back to truly change. They're just desperate to fill the void. Picture them standing there, offering their apologies, trying to rewrite the past. They'll say, "I see your value now. I understand what I lost." But where was that understanding when you were begging for attention? Where was that appreciation when you were doing everything to keep the relationship alive? It wasn't there, and it won't be there now. They're just scared of being alone, and you're their fallback plan. Closure isn't something they can give you. It's something you've already given yourself. You've survived the worst. You've risen from the ashes, and you don't need their closure or their validation. Letting them back in now would be like reopening a wound that's finally starting to heal. But if you must say something, let your words cut through their excuses. No, you don't miss me. You miss the version of me that tolerated your disrespect. You miss the convenience I provided, not the person I am now. And I'm not her anymore. When they come back, don't forget what it cost you to walk away. Don't forget the nights you spent drowning in tears. The mornings you woke up empty, the days you spent picking up the pieces of your broken self. Don't let them undo all that hard-earned growth. Their regret is not love, it's desperation. Their return isn't a sign of redemption, it's manipulation. And their apologies, they're just empty words wrapped in guilt. You owe them nothing, not your time, not your energy, not your heart. Keep your peace and remember, you're better off without them. You don't need anyone who couldn't see your worth when you gave them everything. Keep rising, keep shining. The best is yet to come. So, how do you respond when they return? You don't. You let them sit in the silence they created, letting the weight of their choices sink in. You stand tall, unbothered, and you keep moving forward, stronger, smarter, and untouchable. They thought they could break you, but what they didn't realize is that you're made of resilience, and you're rising higher than ever before. Say it with me. I've moved on. I am untouchable. I owe them nothing. Drop it in the comments. Let it echo as your anthem, your declaration of independence, your armor against anyone who thinks they can walk in and out of your life without consequences. This is your moment. Your pain was your power. You survived it, and now you're unstoppable. The loyalty test. They've come back, claiming they've changed, begging for another shot. But let's get real for a second. Words are easy, and promises are cheap. You've been burned before, so why would you let them repeat the same story? This time, you're not here for their charm. You're here for the truth, and actions will always speak louder than any apology. You test their loyalty, and you do it on your terms. Loyalty isn't built on empty promises. It's revealed through consistent, meaningful actions. First test, time. Don't let them rush you. If they truly have changed, they'll have no problem showing you over time, not in a few days or a couple of weeks, but through real, consistent effort. Watch their behavior, not just their words. Are they slipping back into the same toxic habits, or are they proving they've evolved? Next, boundaries. Don't drop everything for them. Your time is precious, and if they truly respect you, they'll honor your space and your boundaries. Don't let them guilt-trip you or pressure you into forgiving them before they've earned it. A loyal person doesn't barge into your life. They earn their place, step by step. Then, accountability. Bring up the hurt. Ask them about the betrayal, the neglect, the lies. Do they take full responsibility, or do they try to deflect, shift blame, or make excuses? A person who truly values you will face their mistakes head-on, not hide from them. And here's the kicker. Loyalty isn't just about showing up when things are easy. It's about standing by you when things get tough, when no one's watching, and when it's inconvenient. Watch their actions when they think you're not paying attention. Do they continue to show you respect in private? Or do they fall back into old patterns the moment they think you've forgiven them? The truth is, loyalty isn't just about staying, it's about integrity. Do they stand by their word when it costs them? Do they honor their promises when there's no reward for doing so? Lastly, trust your gut. Does their presence bring you peace, or does it stir up doubt? Listen to that inner voice. It's never wrong. If something feels off, it probably is. This loyalty test is about more than just them. It's about what you're willing to allow in your life. Because here's the truth. You don't owe anyone anything. Not another chance, not forgiveness, not vulnerability. They have to earn all of it. And if they can't pass the test, they don't deserve a place in your world. Say it with me. Loyalty is earned, not given. Drop it in the comments. Let this be your reminder that trust isn't something you hand out freely. It's something that's built through consistent, genuine actions. Only those who prove they're worthy get a second shot. Boundaries. After the loyalty test. Let's say they've passed the loyalty test, or at least it seems like they have. But here's the hard truth. Passing the test doesn't mean they get full access to you. You're not handing over the keys to your heart just because they jumped through a few hoops. This isn't a game of instant redemption. You're not the all-you-can-eat buffet where they load their plate and come back for more. This is your life and your trust. It's VIP access. They don't just walk in, they have to earn their seat. And that seat comes with boundaries. Your boundaries are your garden's fence. They don't just keep out the bad, they show you who respects what you've built. A garden without boundaries gets trampled by weeds, by pests, by anything and everything. But your boundaries, they're what keep the beauty intact. They protect the peace you've fought so hard to create. And the gate? That's for you to decide who enters and when. If they can't respect your boundaries, then they're not worth your time. Time is your most valuable asset. Are they consistent, or are they slipping back into old habits? Loyalty isn't proven in a day, it's proven over time. Watch them closely. Do their actions align with their promises? Are they respecting your time, your energy, and your space? Or do they still see you as their fallback? Don't be afraid to keep your standards high, and don't lower them just because they're back. You've worked too hard to reclaim your peace and your power. If they can't meet your expectations, then they don't deserve a second chance. Stay true to yourself. Keep your boundaries strong. Second, let's talk about your emotional energy. You've already given enough of yourself to someone who didn't deserve a single drop. But not this time. This time, your energy is sacred. Your heart is priceless, and if they want to share in your life, they better earn it. No more endless nights spent soothing their fears while your own are brushed aside. No more pouring into a bottomless pit, hoping for love to be returned. If they truly care, they'll meet you halfway. If not, they'll show their true colors, and you won't make the same mistake twice. Boundaries are not barriers. They're the protectors of your peace. Picture this. You're a fortress, standing tall against the storm. Your walls aren't to keep everyone out. They're there to keep the wrong people from tearing down everything you've worked so hard to build. Your boundaries are your sacred ground. Only those who truly respect them will be allowed to step in. So, what happens when they test your limits? Because they will. They'll try to push your buttons, demand more of your time, or guilt you into letting them back in. Don't be fooled by their manipulations. This time, you're standing strong. When they push, you push back harder, but with clarity and grace. You say, "I'm not available right now." You say, "I need time to rebuild my trust in you." You say, "These are my terms, and if you can't respect them, then you don't get a place in my life." And when they try to push back, when they call you cold, distant, or unreasonable, that's your cue. That's when you know your boundaries are working. Boundaries aren't meant to make others comfortable. They're there to protect your peace. If they can't respect your boundaries, then they never had good intentions in the first place. The truth is, if someone truly values you, they won't fight your boundaries. They'll honor them. They'll understand that your standards are a reflection of your worth. But those who try to manipulate, guilt trip, or force their way back into your life are showing you why those boundaries were necessary in the first place. They're not respecting you. They're testing your resolve. Here's the key. Boundaries aren't just about keeping others in check. They're about keeping yourself in check too. Don't let the past make you weak. Don't lower your guard because they seem to have changed. Watch closely. Test them. If they can't respect your boundaries now, don't hesitate to walk away. The second time you do it will be easier because this time you know your worth. You've seen the power of walking away and you're never going back. Your boundaries are more than just rules. They're your declaration. They say, "I am worthy of respect. I am worthy of love. I will not accept anything less." Say it with me. I protect my peace. I honor my worth. I stand tall. drop it in the comments. Let this be your reminder that your peace is non-negotiable. You're not here to be a doormat for anyone. You're here to thrive, to be loved the way you deserve, and if they can't respect that, they can walk right out. When you walk away, it's not just a step away from them, it's a step into your power. It's the moment you reclaim your life, your peace, and your future. They may come crawling back with sweet words and promises, but you've learned better. You know your value now. You don't just hand over your trust, you guard it fiercely, and you demand that it be earned. Your worth is defined by the boundaries you set, not by their regret. Let their attempts to return be a lesson, not a temptation. You've outgrown them. You've outgrown the chaos they brought into your life. This is the beginning of a new chapter, one where you come first. Say it with me one last time. I am free. I protect my peace. I deserve better. Drop it in the comments. Let it echo in your soul as a declaration of your new life. Because this isn't the end. It's the beginning of a journey where you take the lead, where your peace reigns supreme, and where you never settle for less than what you deserve. Walk away. Stand tall. Never, ever look back.